Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me and see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Good morning.
Okay, so we have Chris is not on. Usually, oh, there's
Chris is on.
Raj, good morning. Happy New Year. You must be muted. You can tell it's winter. You've got a coat on this time in your garage.
Yes, I was muted. I was trying to find my files to pull up.
Okay, I'm going to mention this again because we don't have very many participants on yet. But for a future agenda, I don't have Tom on yet. But we have talked a great deal in the past years, but not so much last year, about the issues of pedestrian crashes or pedestrian safety. And I noted, because I work for Fairfax County government, I noted that I didn't know this happened, that we had a new law last year that has to do with pedestrian safety. I would like that to be, and I haven't read much about it. I think we're all being concerned about COVID, but frankly, with COVID, we have more pedestrian activity than we did in non-COVID years. So could we have a presentation on the new pedestrian law and what that means for both drivers and pedestrians? Fairfax County site, and I happen to kick on this article here. It says we all can prevent pedestrian crashes and fatalities. So I'm not sure what would be better presentation law. With us, Chris?
Catherine, are you asking for next meeting? Because I briefly mentioned this in my reply to you on this.
Oh.
I think so. That we can set it up for next meeting if you'd like. We've been kicking out information from the Hunter Mill office on this, and we plan to do some more shortly as people start getting back out on the roads.
Okay, and the same thing with the interactive data visualization project for the resting community that announced within the last couple of days that's up and rolling. Be nice to have, because we have been talking about a transportation data hub for many years, and I'd like that on a future agenda.
Okay. Are we starting the meeting now?
Yeah. Oh, I know we're recording, but I was kind of waiting. I know Walter had indicated, because he sent me an email, that he would be here for the whole meeting. So I'd like to give it a couple of minutes to play with their WebEx. And Tom, are we expecting Tom? Chris?
I'm here.
Tom is on.
Oh, he is. For some reason, I have the agenda up in the middle of my screen and I can't get the participants. All right.
Catherine, Madam Chairman. Hi. Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. I was in as an attendee, so sorry about that. I didn't mean to hold you up.
Oh no, that's fine. Yes. So to answer your question, yeah, let's go ahead and go on record. You said Tom's on too. So hey, we got the important people. So good morning and happy New Year. It's an exciting new year. We have huge expectations of a healthy and happy new year. Walter, you have some opening comments for us?
Yeah, let me just build on, thank you, Madam Chairman. I did want to just build on the conversation that I heard when I was listening in. Yes, we will be pushing out later this afternoon in the Hunter Mill District newsletter information about the new transportation data hub. I do recommend that folks take a look at that. There's some very impressive stuff. I'm a kind of a data nerd, so I love. I've actually really enjoyed spending some time looking through that, and want to thank the county staff for pulling that together. It's very good. And as there are other things that TAC members want to flag that there's more interest in, as Madam Chairman, in terms of anything that you see, please do let us know. We happy to push that out in the newsletter and social media. I also spend a fair amount of time doing Zoom calls with homeowners associations and different community groups. So Anyway, happy to help move this along. And finally, just want to thank you and everyone for all the time that you spend on this and reading through the details and providing feedback. And it's extremely helpful to the county. I know it is to county staff. It is to me as well. And I look forward to the meeting today.
Okay, good morning. So this is a reminder, unless you're making a presentation, you should be muting yourself while we go through the panelists so that we don't have background noise. You know, like Chris Wells' dogs, things like that. Our dog, plural, I mean, singular. This is a reminder for the, excuse me, for those of you that are participating today. You will note on the agenda at the end of the meeting, there is a time for public comment and for questions. We would like to while there is a presenter presenting at the end of their presentation, if you have a clarification question, then you can raise your hand and wait to be called on, but only clarification of the subject matter being discussed. We would appreciate if you didn't take advantage of the fact that there is a speaker that you want to ask a question of on a similar subject, but not the one that's being discussed in the agenda, because we are attempting to, this is a 2-hour meeting, we are attempting to make it through the agenda out of respect to the panelists. I'd appreciate it if you would stick with that. And you will have opportunity at the end to ask questions on other subjects while the panelists are still available by 10 a.m. Okay, I think we're square away on that. So we're starting with Chris. You're going to talk about the status of our project.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Wells. I'm the Active Transportation Program Manager for the County of Fairfax in the Department of Transportation. Let me see if I can share the screen. There we go. That one. Okay, and for some reason it's on page 10. Let me take it to the top. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. This is our monthly projects status summary that our design division puts out of the projects that we are working on within the county. The other report that I sometimes share is our twice yearly report to the board of all of the projects that are going on in the county, which include VDOT projects. Both of these are found on our webpage. This is the January version for Hunter Mill. So we put the countywide one up, and January may not be up yet, but that is the place to go to find the latest information on all projects. Also, Hunter Mill has this, and I believe they have it as part of this meeting record. It's the middle of winter, so there's not a lot of new construction, but there are a couple of projects I wanted to go to quickly. On page 4, there is one of at the bottom there, you see the Sunset Hills Fairfax County Parkway project. That's one of the 2 Fairfax County Parkway Trail crossings that are challenging, to say the least. This one and the Dulles Toll Road on-ramp location are 2 areas that we've been developing projects over the years. The Sunset Hills one is essentially complete at this point. I haven't seen it myself, but the project was to relocate the crosswalk into a more visible location and to add the rapid flash beacon warning system to that crosswalk. So that is a long-awaited improvement. Then on the next page, page 5, the North Shore Drive walkway, second from the bottom, from North Shore Court to Sycamore Valley Court, is begun its construction. That's a significant stretch of North Shore that will complete a sidewalk project along there to tie into the existing sidewalk that goes to the east. Then on page 8, there are 2 other projects at the bottom. The first of the South Lakes walkway projects from entire length is Greenskeepers to Sunrise Valley. There's different sections. It's Greenkeepers Court to Soapstone, Whisperwood Glen Lane to Ridge Heights Road, Harbor Court to Twin Branches Road. Those are getting ready to go to construction. They're scheduled for construction in early 2021. So those will also complete. Missing links identified earlier along South Lakes. And then just below it, the missing link that is on Sunrise Valley next to the Herndon Monroe future metro station, existing parking garage, bus transfer, bus facility, Hitchcock to Colts Brook. That is also getting ready for construction. Notice to proceed was in December. So those were the things that I took note of myself in the report. The report covers, again, all of the projects in Hunter Mill. If anyone has any specific questions on projects in Hunter Mill, I can take those now.
I'm sorry, I muted myself during your presentation. I'm assuming there are no questions. Are we moving on to Tom now?
Rick Hamilton has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I'm not the host, so I don't see the raised hand, so.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my hand. I was just,
Oh.
the last meeting I was in, I never could get the sound right, and I just wanted to check with Jose, so I will.
No worries.
No worries. Thanks for it.
Okay,
We do have another hand, Adam Rubenstein.
Adam?
Hi. Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
The on Sunrise Valley Drive, just east of, on the north side, just east of Colts Neck, there's a small segment that has no sidewalk. You know, between the Exxon gas station and pretty much in Colts Neck. Any idea when that might be taken care of?
Yeah, am I unmuted? Got too many screens. Yeah, we have a project there. It is early in its development because of the complications of working around the developers there. I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly to see if we've established a date yet. There it is. The construction is unfortunately not anticipated until 2024 on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We have another hand raised, Kelly Westenhoff. And I think she sent me something through the chat, but I think she should be able to.
Kelly?
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, you said you had not been out to the intersection of Sunset Hills and Fairfax County Parkway Trail since it finished. It just finished. Those beacons just started being able to flash like 2 days ago. And I have to say, I use that all the time. That deceleration lane coming off Fairfax County Parkway Trail is still very, very scary. And now, although we're more visible, we're further up. So we're closer to the traffic that is decelerating on its way to target. So it probably needs some more study and just to see how it really is working out.
Okay, I did have a staff person go out there to check the rapid flash beacons, and I think there was there might have been something wrong with one of them, so they were working on that. But I'll go out there and take a look at what you're saying. Unfortunately, you know, that is the challenges when we cross a high-speed facility ramp like that. The assumption that the drivers will pay attention and yield. So I'll take a look at that, and hopefully the the report I had was that one of the sides of the rapid flash beacons wasn't flashing, so that would need to be working correctly, obviously, to help drivers know that someone's there. But thank you.
And then we have one more hand, Robin Shell.
Hi, so I'm just, I would like to bring up two places, Chris, and I hope this is the appropriate time because you asked about all projects in the Hunter Mill District. So I would just like the status on the paving and restriping of Green Range Drive. There's a crosswalk that's to be put in where the dogwood pool is. And then also I was wondering if you guys had a project yet for the Pinecrest and Glade Drive intersection and reserving a pathway from the end of the existing Reston Association path to the existing crosswalk across Glade. The problem in both of these situations is that cars park and they block pedestrian access to those two existing facilities. And that's it for now.
So I could take the last one first. Glade and Pinecrest. Shamali had sent us some citizen concerns about that, but no, we do not have a project there. And I'm not familiar with the paving at Green Range and Dogwood Pool, so we would have to follow up on that. Unless Steve, I doubt Steve knows the status of that particular road either, but if it is being paved as part of repaving, we do look at crosswalk opportunities, but I'm just not familiar with that one off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
This is Shamali. Can I just add something in, Robin? I think we're going to create a task force for that area right there at Glade and Pinecrest. So to take a look at that whole area to see what needs to be done. So we'll get back with you on that as we set that up. And I did have one email question. It had come in about near the Herndon Metro stop. When there was the construction done, there had been some damaged sidewalk. Is that also included in the scope of the Sunrise Valley sidewalk project near the metro station?
No, the project is to close the missing gap along the nature conserving area there. So no, any damage related to the construction of the Silver Line needs to be reported to either the Silver Line people or to VDOT, who has numerous contractors doing work under permit to try and find out who's responsible for damage from construction.
Thank you, Chris. That was from Lynn, by the way.
And I noticed Rick has a new hand, but I'm not sure if it's audio, but we're going to try it out just in case.
Yeah, Rick, did you have a question, Rick?
No, I don't indicate that I have my hand up. This is weird.
Yeah, Rick, it's this WebEx. It looks like your hand is down or up. It's hard to tell, so we understand.
At least we remember you're there. Oh. Walter has one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're all getting used to this. We appreciate it. So if there are no further questions for Chris having to do with the projects, we'll move on to Tom. Tom, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully 2021 is a good year for everybody. So the two projects that I was asked to drill down a little bit more on is the WNOD bridge over Wheelie Avenue. And that project is in land acquisition right now. They're making good progress and scheduled to be completed in April of this year. At that point, Dominion will start relocating the overhead lines. As you may know, there's two sets of overhead lines there. One is on a kind of an A-frame tower, and the other is a monopole, so single poles. We actually need to move the line that's on the monopoles. And so they will start relocating their line in June of this year. We expect they'll be completed around September. And then all the other utilities should be completed by spring of 2022, so a little over a year from now. At that point, we'll begin construction of the bridge, and the bridge is expected to take about a year. So by summer of 2023, the bridge should be complete. So you will start seeing some construction out there related to the relocation of the Dominion line, which will be starting this summer in the June timeframe. So it's definitely coming along. We're making good progress on the right-of-way, and I'm looking forward, as I'm sure you are, to seeing the construction of that project. And then on the other project, on the soapstone connector, Chris, I think you were going to share a picture here, if you can. There we go. No, maybe not. So as everyone is probably aware, the soapstone connector is a new connection across the toll road, essentially from the north end of Soapstone Drive at Sunrise Valley Drive, across the toll road. There we go. Thank you, Chris. Across Sunrise Valley, across the toll road to Sunset Hills. And the alignment that you see there that is kind of red and blue is the alignment. And you will see in yellow there the Association Drive office park. I think it's actually called Reston Center for Associations and Educational Institutions. So as you can see, there's a particular building that conflicts with the alignment, or the alignment conflicts with a particular building. And so we've been working through the environmental documentation associated with building this connection. There are 2 federal documents that we are working through and figuring out ways to mitigate impacts to the Reston Center for Associations in Education. We are hoping that we can finish up the environmental documentation within the next several months, first quarter, early second quarter of 2021, and that will allow us to then advance the project into design. But resolving this conflict is one of the things that has taken a considerable amount of time as we try and advance the project. But the project is moving, and like I said, we are working to resolve the environmental documentation and identify mitigation strategies for the impacts to this area in yellow here. So, Catherine, I'd be happy to take any questions about either of those 2 projects.
Do we have any hands up?
I do see Kelly Westenhoff and Robin Shell. They may be old hands, but I'll try unmuting them.
No, hey, that must be old hands.
Okay.
Who was the second one?
It looks like they lowered their hand.
Lowered their hands. Okay, no questions for Tom on either the W&D pedestrian bridge or the status of Soapstone, correct? Hey guys, we're just really moving along this morning. That's wonderful. All right, Tom, did you have anything else that you wanted to, while you're a panelist, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about Fairfax County Transportation?
Sure. The only other thing I would share is that, as we've talked about here before, we've gone through several rounds of public outreach related to the Silver Line Phase 2 bus service plan. And as a result of that, we are packaging that up, and we will be bringing that forward to the Board of Supervisors on March 9th for their final consideration. So at that point, assuming the board approves it, then we'll have everything that we need to begin the process for implementing so that we're ready with the bus service plan when the Silver Line opens. So that's moving along, and we've had a lot of good input, a lot of refinement as a result of that input, and we're reaching the end of that project as well. So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Chris, are we ready to talk about the active Fairfax briefing?
Sure, let me share the screen again, get that one up. PowerPoint. Sorry, all of these softwares are different. Why am I not seeing it? Share, oh, there it is, PowerPoint. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. Thank you, Tom. The active Fairfax Transportation Plan is a project that we have been working on and is entering or has delivered some results and is entering its next phase at the moment. Background, though, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, we have two different comprehensive plan guidance documents for pedestrian and bicycle facilities in the county. Actually, three different areas of recommendations. The two main ones are the countywide trails plan and the bicycle master plan. The countywide trails plan originated in 1976 and was definitely ahead of its time in planning for a network county-wide of over a 400 square mile county of bicycle trails. It was definitely very forward thinking because it's essentially somewhat unchanged and still relevant today, almost 50 years later. It laid out mainly the trail network, the off-road facilities, and it's been updated over the years to reflect different areas of growth and different inputs. But then also in 2006, I believe, we created our bicycle program, and the bicycle program led to the creation of a bicycle master plan. And the bicycle master plan was both a policy document that established a lot of things and goals for cycling, but it also created a separate map of bicycle facilities. And at the time, the on-road bicycle facilities were taken off of the trails plan and put on the bicycle master plan. But the bicycle master plan also had some trail facilities. So that essentially left us with two different maps with sometimes two different recommendations. And then when the county does comprehensive plan analysis in our activity centers, we have what's called area plan guidance. And those area plans are in much more detail. They take a look at every street and typically come up with a proposed cross section. And so we essentially can have, unfortunately, sometimes three different or three of the same recommendations for pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So the active Fairfax plan is going to take a look at reconciling all of that and also bringing it up to best practices. Of course, if you're familiar with bicycle engineering, for many decades, it's mainly focused on on-road bicycle facilities. But unfortunately, that has not been successful in getting significant numbers of people to feel comfortable riding their bike. And so what we know now is that there's a large part of the population, 50 to 60% of the population, that would be interested in riding a bike, but only if it's safe. And that typically means on our high-speed roads that we need to provide for an off-road facility. So we're moving to facilities such as cycle tracks, which is a parallel bicycle facility next to a sidewalk, or on a lower speed road, like a 25-mile-an-hour road. Of course, most people are comfortable, but in between there, things like buffered bike lanes and so on and so forth. So there's a need to provide guidance on safety and comfort as well. How to develop funding recommendations based on equity needs and demand. Some policy and program recommendations. We're doing a scan of the laws and standards and things like that. So where we are with it is we received funding for phase 1 in 2019. Last year, we hired the consultant Alta Planning and Design and AECom, which is a great match of two top-notch firms that have done similar plans like this successfully across the United States. Our total estimated duration is 2020 through 2022. Switching to the timeline slide, showing where we are. We've pretty much wrapped up the policy and plan audit. We're bringing in our deliverables for the existing conditions review, and I have some data slides to show you for that next. Our community engagement thus far has really been more internal through the multiple stakeholders in the county, the boards, authorities, and commissions, the board transportation committee, and then we've set up some internal stakeholder working groups of staff, and some external citizens are on that. Where we are going with phase one is to develop a vision and goals and objectives and benefits to take to the Board of Supervisors for their endorsement, and to develop a strategic safety program plan. Maybe I didn't mention it. We've never had a pedestrian plan in the county. And so we're not looking to have a 400 square mile breakdown of sidewalks, because the comprehensive plan and public facilities manual actually require sidewalks of developers already. But what we have not had, and what we'd like to develop, is this strategic safety plan, which will give board endorsed guidance to all of us and to VDOT as to the things that we've been working on for safety, but to really put it as official adoption. We of course have to do our community engagement differently because of the pandemic, so there will be a lot more of a virtual component to it. But we're also not going to not do in-person outreach and engagement. We are specifically looking to target the vulnerable road users who are dependent upon walking and biking. And so those are often pre-pandemic folks that were not able to make it to our traditional night meetings. So we're looking at doing more community-based outreach, such as, at bus stops, at grocery stores, things like that, where we can actually talk to people where they are walking and biking. Just to keep everybody where we're going in phase two, ultimately this is a comprehensive plan amendment. And so that's where we will take the input we receive through phase one and the community engagement about what we would like to see in the county from folks, and then turn that into our network recommendations, our program recommendations, and the implementation guidance. Also a facility selection toolkit. One of the things that we've been missing in our previous planning efforts is when roads don't exist yet. When a new road comes along, either a new alignment of an existing road or something new that a developer may be building, the previous existing plans are just snapshots in time, and so they just speak to the existing roads. And so we need a facility selection toolkit to say, okay, if it's this type of road with this type of land use, what would be the best practices for pedestrians and bicycles for that. So as I said, we've had these multiple internal working groups. We've had the Trails, Sidewalks, and Bikeways Committee, the Transportation Advisory Commission, the Park Authority Board, the Planning Commission's Transportation Committee. But then we've also just established and are beginning to convene two specific external advisory groups, an Equity Advisory Committee and a Youth Advisory Committee. And as I mentioned earlier, we know that there are different populations in the county that are dependent on walking and biking and transit. And so we certainly want to reach those through our Equity Advisory Committee and geographically across the whole county. However, in particular, the youth are a special group of walkers and bikers, because in particular, before they get their driver's license, the pre-16 youth, they are very dependent on walking and biking and transit. And again, large parts of our population have those family members that are not only going to school, but also maybe to jobs and things like that. So we have established a youth advisory committee working with Fairfax County Schools and our neighborhood and community services to get a group of applicants of that youth. So where we are now, we've finished our logo and our branding. So on the bottom there, you see the logo for the Active Fairfax Transportation Plan: safe, convenient, fun streets and trails for everyone. And then that's our banner that we use on our webpage. As I said, we'll be doing targeted community outreach. We'll be developing things such as an interactive map that people can give us input on where they walk and bike and what they'd like to see. We'll have a community survey, and of course, we'll be using a lot of social media. Our website, I guess you can see my mouse, is listed there. So our website is up and running. So we've started, as I said, to get some of the existing data deliverables to come in. This slide here is the health assessment and how we compare to other jurisdictions in the United States. Under physical activity, in the past month, Fairfax County residents, 77.6% reported participating in physical activity. That compares to 74% in Virginia and 76% in the United States. A nice thing for Fairfax residents is access to exercise opportunities. 99.6% of us live reasonably close to a park or a recreational facility, and that compares to 82% in Virginia or 84% in the United States. We also have data on food access, obesity, and what we know about the health relationship between, walking and biking is, of course, any physical activity, it helps reduce these causes of mortality. And so there is a genuine public health benefit to making walking and biking more popular and friendly and usable. So this next graphic here speaks to the equity. Hopefully you don't see my WebEx thing in front of the map. Maybe I can minimize it. I see it. The map is this is our demand and equity need map. So it is combining both where we have equity need areas such as race, children, senior citizen, linguistic isolation, educational attainment, income, disabilities, commute, and cost burden households. And then also our demand analysis, which is basically where people work, where people live, where people shop and recreate, transit access, community services, and future activity. And so with the graph here, on the left is equity, lower equity need to higher equity needs, so light yellow to dark yellow. On the bottom is low demand versus high demand, so again, light yellow to blue. But then therefore the top over the diagonal there is where we really start serving both of those generators of need of walking and biking, both areas with equity needs and high demand. So the darkest purple there is where we would theoretically get the most bang for our buck when it comes to building and completing networks. So you see quite a lot of our county, the inside the Beltway area, the Springfield area, the Route 1 area, the Merrifield area, the McLean area, the Reston area, the Chantilly area, the Centerville area, the Fairfax Corner area. Quite a lot of our county falls into those where we have both equity needs and demand needs. We've started to get data on bicycle trips, and this is very exciting to us. Now, this is new data to us, so we haven't completely vetted this yet, but this is from a company called Streetlight, which uses cell phone data. And we have this both for bicycles and pedestrians. And as we drill down in this, we will be reporting out more on this. But for instance, this is an average daily bicycle, an average day's bicycle trips in Fairfax County, which shows 33,000 bicycle trips in a day of Fairfax County. And then what the map is showing you is the density of those trips where we have the most bicycling. And what we see is both recreational and commuting bicycling. We see recreational bicycling, in Mason Neck or in the West or in Great Falls. But then we also, of course, see our density of bicycling in Reston, in Tysons, in again, the Annandale areas, the Fairfax areas. What we also have is data on trip length that most of our bicycle trips are less than a mile, but then a significant percentage are 5 miles or less also. So again, historically in America and in our county, we focus more on the long distance commuter bicyclist. But what this data is clearly showing us is that most of our bicyclists are actually using bicycles for short trips, more likely either short commutes or errands or recreationally. This slide here is what we've talked about for years, and it's all about trip conversion. And we've known, we do license plate surveys at our park and rides and things like that. We've always known that a lot of people use their cars for short trips. And if you didn't use your car for a short trip, we wouldn't have the air pollution of starting up that cold engine, and we wouldn't need big parking lots. So what this data is showing us is, again, an average day in Fairfax County, and by the way, this is pre-COVID data, 2019. There were 3 million daily vehicle trips that originate in Fairfax County, but many of those are short trips. So 7% of those are less than a mile. Another 14% of those are 1 to 2 miles. Another 28% of those are 2 to 5 miles. So that's half, 49% of those are 5 miles or less. And as we know, a 1 mile walk, a 2 mile walk, that's an easy walk. A 2 mile, a 5 mile bike ride, that's an easy bike ride. So this is really then a map. If you go to the map is just showing us those 0 to 1 mile trips. So it's not that full data range, but these are the dark green areas are showing us where people are using their cars for less than 1 mile trips. And what jumps out is it's all of our activity centers, whether it's shopping centers, Annandale, the Route 50 corridor, the Route 7 corridor in Culmore, Vienna, Tysons, again, Reston, Herndon, Chantilly, Centerville, Route 1, the Franconia area. These are all areas where people are using their vehicles for that short trip that we could convert with a more robust walking and biking network. I mentioned safety and the equity needs analysis. So we've long known that areas like Route 1 and Columbia Pike had disproportionate pedestrian crashes and fatalities, and that we had vulnerable populations there. So for when the board created the pedestrian program in 2002, we've been working for all those years to build sidewalks and crosswalks in those areas. But now we really have data here that show us that disproportionate impact. So the graph here is showing the pedestrian crashes in green and the percent of population in gray. So if you break that down by our highest equity need tier, we see that even though that's only 34% of the population, that is 42% of the pedestrian crashes. In our medium high equity need tier, again, we see only 19% of the population, but 24% of the crashes. So both of these different data sets are really important to us as staff who work on this, and to the board as policymakers, to really have data-driven knowledge and answers as to what it is and why it is and how we need to work on things. So our next steps, as I said, is doing broader outreach in the public and stakeholder world. Again, develop a set of vision and goals to reflect the key outcomes that we would hope that the active transportation plan will give the county, return that to the board transportation committee for their approval, and then develop our different benefits of walking, biking, and micromobility report. And then At the moment, we're looking to conclude phase 1 in June of 2021. So with that, that's me, and Nicole Winans is the project manager for us for that. So many of you know Nicole. These are the questions we actually asked the Board Transportation Committee, but I asked those of you as well. You know, that's really what we're looking to get at in this process. What is the community's vision and goals for active transportation? And then how in this pandemic challenge time of doing outreach, what best ways to reach people. So with that, I will stop sharing and open up to any questions about the active Fairfax transportation plan.
So we do have one hand raised. It's Kelly Westenhoff.
Chris, did you get enough applicants for the teen advisory committee group?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think we have to select. We have to be selective of our applicants to make sure that it's a representative, diverse group. But yes, we did get plenty.
Excellent.
Jose, are there any other hands up?
I don't see any other hands at the moment.
Catherine, before we move off, it's Supervisor Alcorn. I want to just thank Chris and the team for all their work on this, and also just add a couple of things. You know, I'm looking forward. Going through this process is extremely helpful. I'm also looking forward at the ultimate result. You know, once we have a consolidated plan that brings our diverse, different plans together, that's really going to go a long way to showing us what our long-term financial needs are for those missing links of trails, those areas where, you know, we're maybe almost there but not quite. This is going to be, I think, a foundational document and set of analyses that we're going to build upon in the coming years. So I do look forward to that, because, you know, I certainly hear, we know about a lot of places where we have those missing links, and you know, we really do need to see a little more investment in some of those pedestrian facilities. The other thing that I would just note as a somewhat related issue, yesterday, Supervisors Lusk and Smith and I did a joint board matter asking for information from county staff on lighting issues. And, you know, we're not looking to throw this into the active Fairfax process because it's much broader, but certainly, you know, whether we need to tighten up and maybe have a more comprehensive approach in terms of Fairfax County's lighting strategy is something that clearly has a major impact on our transportation and safety issues. And so we're looking forward to having a board discussion on whether that's something we want to start the ball rolling in terms of getting a comprehensive lighting plan in the county. And we'll be coming back, I'm sure, and looking for feedback from the TAC on those and related issues to lighting in the coming months. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Walter. I did have one quick question, and it had to do with the basis of some of the information on your slide. I was interested about the data about 59% of people in Fairfax being overweight/obese versus approximately 66% nationwide. I kind of challenge it because I think after COVID, we've all gained that COVID 10 pounds because we're not being as active. I'm teasing about the activity level, but do you know what the basis is of that information?
So that we're working with our health department in collecting this data. So this is the data that is been shared with them. I don't know specifically, you know, how that's collected or how that's quantified.
That's from Fairfax County Public Health and then Virginia Public Health from the standpoint of the Virginia statistic.
Yes, here I'm pulling up the slide, even though it's not being shared. Yeah, like that, the slide is 20.8%, so 20.8% of Fairfax County residents are obese. 59% are overweight or obese, compared to 66% for the state and 66% for the United States. And that 1 in 4 low-income preschoolers have high body mass index.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We do have one additional hand that raised, Robin Shell.
Hi, so I really loved everything that you guys were doing with Active Fairfax. And I just wanted to ask you, Chris, if you're looking at the target group of parents with kids specifically, because I know as a new parent, my transportation needs have drastically changed and what I'm looking for. So I just wanted to know a little more about that.
Yes, absolutely. We know that moms with kids or dads with kids have unique transportation needs and are actually sort of a hidden user group of our trail network. And so that's as we hopefully will do some trail side interviews and things like that. That's the type of information we're looking to get. We would believe that parents with kids are definitely looking for safe facilities to walk on, safe facilities to bike on. So that is part of our target audience, so to speak. Absolutely.
And we do, I think Kelly has a follow-up question, maybe. She got a new hand.
I do. I figured out how to lower my hand and then raise it again. So
Yay.
yay. Robin's question was right on, and it all of a sudden tweaked me. Chris, how much involvement is this plan engaging in with Fairfax County Public Schools? Because the kiss and rides are the curse of the less than 5 mile car trip. And I would just love to see some very, very high energy interaction with FCPS to get people to use active transportation. I live really close to Hunters Woods Elementary School, and there are these beautiful underpasses that go under Glade and Colts Neck, and no one uses them because they got their kids in the car to drive across Glade to go get in the kiss and ride. So for what it's worth, I would love to see that to be very, very active, along with working with the police for enforcement of speed. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. That's the school's kiss and rides is the perfect example of the short trip that could be done in different ways. So we absolutely are engaged with schools. Sally Smallwood, the Safe Routes to School coordinator, is already involved in our stakeholder panels. I will say, though, in working with schools over the years, they've done surveys, and when they ask parents what could they do to get them out of the kiss and ride, like give the kids an extra set of books or an extra violin or things like that, the number one answer they get is nothing. There's nothing you can do to get me out of the kiss and ride. So, there is a convenience factor. Back when everyone commuted to offices, that there was some synergies there. So it is a big challenge. The schools, none of the schools were designed for 200 cars queuing every morning and every afternoon, and it does create some serious traffic challenges and even safety issues around the smaller school campuses. So we are engaged with schools. Schools likewise would love to eliminate or reduce their kiss and ride issues. They, as schools says, no child is assigned kiss and ride. They are either walkers or bus riders, and so those are parents making that choice to either not walk or to not ride the bus. So thank you. That's an excellent point. That the short trips that could be changed.
That was all the hands I saw raised.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. That's very, very interesting. That's interesting. Somebody needed to mute. The slides that you have, we do know your website, but just a question. Shamali, are we going to be sending out an email with some links to these presentations?
Yes,
Okay.
I can do that. And as if we're able to, we will try to link them on our webpage too, on our transportation webpage. Occasionally we have some difficulties with the technology piece on our webpage, but we will definitely be able to send out email to all the people who are on this list currently.
Okay, because I need to I definitely need to study that the charts on the equity needs neighborhoods and get my mind around that. That's fascinating information, and I wonder how we can utilize it in elections, because of course that's a big election issue, is equity needs from the standpoint of getting people to our precincts to vote. So very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and progress now, unless there are any other questions for Chris. We're going to progress to Steve Welch on behalf of VDOT. Happy New Year, Steve.
Happy New Year. How are you?
Oh, well,
Good.
I have big hopes for 2021.
So I get a feeling it'll hopefully be a lot better than last year. I have a presentation, a few things to present, but I can't, it's not showing me that I can share content right now. There you go. So I get the opportunity to share, and I'm going to go to my screen. You now see my screen.
I only see a gray rectangle.
Give me one moment. Pardon me, trying to figure this out myself.
Well, Mike Martin has admitted that the reason it's black is we need more street lighting. So
We can see your screen now on the yeah. Steve, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. So I wanted to, I was asked to speak to Fox Mill Pinecrest Road intersection and a couple other items. And just to briefly go back to just a little bit of history from VDOT has been working on this from 2013 through 2020. Done a signal warrant study. We've installed several interim intersection improvements and took it forward to developing a signal plan concepts. Of those concepts, we came up with one that was the most cost beneficial and served its needs, and from that developed a project. That project then got started actually last summer with some supplemental survey and a project schedule and budget or cost estimate developed and timeline. And as you can see that here, it's roughly, we know it was going to take about 4.5 to 5 years to get through survey design, right-of-way acquisition, utility relocations, and then we'll be doing construction beginning roughly fall of 2024 and finish up in the fall of 2025. But having said that, you know, that's a long time, 4.5 years. I've been in this role for a year and a half or so, involved in this particular intersection, a year and a half. So I'm scratching my head a little bit, went back and talked to our Northern Virginia regional operations manager. And it came to me thinking about how can we get through the next 4 years with this problematic intersection, and asked if we could put in a temporary signal, drop a couple poles in, span wire, power it up, find some equipment, And as it turns out, they looked into it and we are able to do that. So we are going to be putting in a couple of wooden poles on diagonals. And we actually have some refurbished equipment that we're going to use. And I'm going to move forward and kind of speak to a little bit here on my screen. So as you know, this is the existing intersection, which is unsignalized. This is Fox Mill, Pinecrest running this direction with a striped out right turn lane area here. As you head this direction on Fox Mill, it splits and goes into 2 lanes, hence the concrete island and need to kind of split the way traffic was moving around. But just getting across and getting out of both sides has been problematic. So to solve the problem, how do we bridge the gap, no pun intended, for the next 4 years while we go through the process? We've got our traffic engineering group has now developed a temporary signal plan. The full plan does involve turn lanes and a very wide footprint. So what you're looking at here, I assume everybody can see it, is the existing roadway. And what we're doing is we are putting in a pole in this quadrant of the intersection, another pole in this quadrant of the intersection behind the sidewalk and curb ramp, running a span wire across, put up full signal heads for all 4 directions. We're taking the striped island area and we're also going to build a concrete island and put in another a signal pole a signal pole mount right here, as well as another one right here. The purpose for that is as a car approaches the intersection and may be stopped, it may get the green, or at some point it gets the green and it's pulls up and sits underneath, and it can't look up to see the signal that's on the span wire. So they'll have another supplemental signal over here to look at to know when there's a gap, or if this turns yellow, see the cars slowing down and coming to a stop. If they're sitting here, then they can clear the box and make the turn. And so that's why we also have one at this side as well. So cars coming southbound to turn left can make that movement as well. So this is good news. The design is in progress. It'll be finished here over the design itself will be finished over the next month. We'll order the materials. We'll start construction this spring. And we'll be done with this, and the signals, which will look like this, of course, for each of the 4 directions. The one on the far left is the ground-mounted signal, both cases for northbound and southbound Fox Mill. Eastbound and westbound Fox Mill will have signals and signing, but the signal improvements themselves will be constructed, the temporary signal will be constructed and in place by early summer. So we're very confident that this is finally going to really help this intersection, and in its current condition, that is no changes to the pavement and footprint. We will refresh the markings and change the markings a little bit, moving stop bars to be placed according with where the spacing is required for viewing the signal heads, and just refresh them otherwise when we put in this concrete island. So that's a bit of good news that I wanted to let everybody know about. That'll bridge the gap, like I say, until we can put in the full project that'll come in about another 4 years as we go through the entire development process. The next thing that I was asked to speak to, and I'm going to roll through my slides here, is we were asked to, a little while back, to develop a pedestrian improvements for safety reasons. That seems to be the topic, certainly, of the day, at Sunset Hills and Michael Faraday Court. And we began that design back in spring, summer 2020. We finished it in late September, but we found that where funds for the year had run out, but I was able to work with what's called our construction safety and operational improvement funds, which is a dedicated amount that we utilize within our transportation, my small group, working with Fairfax County and Tom Bishadney's group to identify places where we can, work to help improve small safety projects and operational projects. So this one's actually completed. We started it in early November, the construction, and completed it here in December. Cost $65,000. This was the intersection. Previously, as you can see, it's a signalized intersection with no identifiable crosswalks. And this, unfortunately, I don't have an aerial of the finished product, but this was the working document that was used to develop the project. So we've now put in a crosswalk on this leg, a crosswalk on this leg, modified the ramps at both those two to be ADA compliant, and we put in push buttons on all three quadrants that abut the sidewalk so that they are ADA compliant and the pedestrians have access to utilize those pedestrian push buttons to control signals and allow them time to cross the road safely. The last thing that I was asked to discuss was the status of the Hunter Mill Road bridge project. That project is on schedule. We'll be beginning construction on that this spring 2021, and it is 2 construction seasons, and everything is moving along as planned. And Supervisor Alcorn, Gary wanted me to send you his best and say hello to you and appreciate your support with that project and everything else. I don't know if you have any questions or want me to leave this up here, but I'll leave it up. And if we don't have any questions, I'll stop sharing the screen.
We
have one
hand raised. Couple. We have Adam Rubenstein first, and then Larry Butler.
Good morning. I wanted to thank VDOT and FCDOT for getting this crosswalk signal in place at Sunset Hills and Michael Faraday Drive. It's right near where I live, and it was definitely a safety hazard. I know I've been in contact with Chris. There's a missing link to that crosswalk signal. There's no crosswalk signal to cross on the east side of Sunset Hills, and currently there's no sidewalk on the west side of Michael Faraday because of the construction for the midline project. But there is a sidewalk on the east side of Michael Faraday, and that's where there's not currently a crosswalk signal. I was wondering if you guys, I know Chris had said there's some issues with utilities possibly and getting the land to put that last piece of crosswalk signal there to have all 4 quadrants there to have it. But I'm not wondering if there's any way you guys can take a little look at that to see, because unfortunately I can't use the new signal because there's no sidewalk on the west side of Michael Faraday. There's only a sidewalk on the east side.
From my, I can't answer for Chris. I don't know if Chris is speaking to it or not as far as that goes. I'm not sure the status of a sidewalk along this section or when. Of course, our objective was to provide the crosswalk linkage for those that are coming from up north down to be able to cross over and go to points south, east, and west safely. But I don't know about the status of additional sidewalks on those sections. Trying to go back up. I guess there is a sidewalk on this eastern section, but as far as this western section or down, looks like there's a sidewalk there.
There is, yeah.
This side here. So
there's no sidewalk on the western side anymore because they tore that up for the construction of the midline project.
Over here, where I'm pointing on the screen on the arrow.
Right. So basically, south of Sunset Hills on the west side of Michael Faraday
Right.
Drive, that sidewalk is now gone. It's been gone for a number of months because of the construction going on. So you only can use the east side of Michael Faraday there to cross, Sunset Hills, and that's where there's not the signal, unfortunately. There's
So
the
this
pole
is
there.
Mashani. That
There's a pole there on the
sidewalk
northeast
would be
side. Sorry, go
that
ahead.
sidewalk will be replaced when the construction of Midline is finished on the southwest corner there, parallel to Sunset Hills. The construction will replace that sidewalk.
Because there's also, like, if you want to walk to the post office, which is like east on Sunset Hills, you need to, there is stuff to walk to going east as well. So I'm not sure, like I said, if it's feasible to add, if you added one more pole on the southeast corner, you'd be able to add that, crosswalk on the east side of Michael Faraday across Sunset Hills. I'm just wondering if it's all possible to do it, it would be helpful.
So let me add, I did reach out to our staff that works on development issues, and they were in contact with the developer's engineer, and that's where we were given the information that there was some challenges with utilities and right-of-way in these quadrants. So however, the developer is supposed to add those missing crosswalks as part of their development conditions. We believe it when we see it sometimes.
The the southeast side there of that intersection is Nova Community College, which is not part at all of any of the ongoing construction. They're going to remain there. So I'm not sure, again, if it's what can be done, if anything, to look at possibly just adding that one, because you have 3 of the 4 poles already installed. If you added the 4th one there, the southeast corner, you could then add, the missing link for the crosswalk. But there's no utilities there that I know of on the southeast side. It's just, like I said, it's a Nova land there. Nova Community College has a building there.
I believe the mapping, at least here, shows some underground utilities going through that area. The light line work is that are all through this area. There's a lot of utilities going past here. But I guess Chris was mentioning how that's going to be accomplished in the future. And we are, I think, working with Fairfax County in identifying opportunities where we can make full 4-legged, if I call them, intersection crosswalks and improvements. This particular one started back last spring, and knowing that we had a high volume of need to get at least through this intersection and a limited budget, we wanted to at least provide this much of the linkage so that we have a safe crossing and a means to get through the highest direction of at least of the usage. So and I do believe, and Chris spoke to it as far as the future crossing there would happen. So, but we'll continue to keep our eyes on it and see if possibly there's some opportunity in the future.
Thank you.
Catherine, it's Walt. It's Supervisor Alcorn. Also, Adam, if you want to get in touch with my office about this, we can also run down the latest on the developer rebuild of that sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we're going to move
Yeah,
on.
yeah, we had Larry Butler and Rick Hamilton. Sorry, I was muted.
All right, thanks for the good morning, everybody. Steve, I just had a quick question on the 100 Mill project. I haven't looked at the concept plans for that. I guess it's the cross county trail, crosses 100 Mill, right, very close to that.
Yeah.
Is there any improvement being recommended as part of that project for that trail crossing?
Yeah, if you go on the website, if you were to Google it, there has been a couple presentations on there, but the short answer is we're putting in a RRFB and crossing at that point with a splitter island at that location. So if you give me a second, I can probably Google it myself and pull it up.
That's all right. I haven't been following that project, but it made me think of it as I cross there on my mountain bike occasionally, and it's a little rough. So it'll be better. That's good. Thank you.
All right.
And then, while I guess Steve's trying to pull up the 100 mil, we have Rick Hamilton.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Steve, last year we had some exchanges on polo fields, issues with Reston Association trail crossings of Thunder Chase and Colts Brook, and the fact that there were no pedestrian crosswalks, and there was a pedestrian crossing sign that was never installed there. I don't know if that kind of stuff just doesn't get in the winter, but we haven't had any feedback or update on what the status of those issues is.
Yeah, is that what's the intersection again? And
well, it's Thunder Chase Drive, and there's a Reston Association trail crossing on Thunder Chase on the 127XX addresses there, and also Colts Brook, also a Reston Association trail crossing, and we've got visibility issues where you just literally can't see, kids coming across, especially on Thunder Chase, where the trail crossing is, and we got, especially right now with the pandemic, got lots of people out walking and kids riding bicycles on nice days and stuff, and so I just wasn't sure what the status of those issues were.
Okay, so you're talking about this location right here where the trail crosses over, correct?
Yep, that's one of them.
Okay. I can, if you give me 1 second. Yeah, I can't pull it up. I know that I developed a plan to show how it could be done. Here it is. It's coming up now. So can you see my screen?
I can.
So right now, this is something that, to move this around, I'm sorry. Currently, there's a speed hump at this location.
Correct.
That, and nothing at this skewed crossing. And we had replied that initially, anyway, our traffic engineers had looked at it, and that this vegetation blocked the view, which is counterintuitive. Yes,
right.
People walk up, they can't see the cars. So unfortunately, my thing here, there we go. I moved everything instead of. So what I did was I had sketched up this concept, which takes out the speed hump and relocates it in this direction. It has to be perpendicular to the road. The crossing has to be perpendicular to the road, or at least you want it to be, right, as it meets the roadway itself. And then combine it into a speed hump / trail crossing. However, to do that, as I diagrammed here, the trail would have to be realigned, something along this, as I've shown. And I'm assuming, I believe this was community association property on both sides, if I remember correctly. So I was maximizing the, pulling this down and making it perpendicular without touching this property over here, and realigning this trail on this side right along the borderline of that property over there. But it would mean relocating the speed hump to this location, making the combined crossing and speed hump. And so I'd suggested that one of my responses anyway back was to talk with, I think we just got to work together with Fairfax County, Steve Knudsen, our Chris, I don't know if you can jump in and help me here, but with the speed hump program, I don't know what it would take to, as far as the process goes, since the speed hump was already located there, it'd be a matter of relocating it, but then also building it wide enough. But then it would also take money to, some funding to rework and permissions to rework the trails to realign and work it. And this would solve the problem at this location anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I had not envisioned any kind of a solution like that. I was just hoping we could get a crosswalk painted where the trails cross, and a sign, a pedestrian crossing sign, which I thought was just standard. I had not thought of this kind of solution, but
see, the thing that happens is the drivers come along through here and they don't see part of the is the tree vegetation.
Right.
But as drivers come through here, they're focusing on the speed hump. They're not focusing on somebody might be walking up to this point, can't see them.
Yep.
And they're slowing down to stop for the fact they're probably coming up kind of fast. They slow down and go over the speed hump, vice versa, or they come to the speed hump, cross it, and then start to accelerate. I get it. I have, some of these were just put in a couple other places. So as I was looking at this, to me, the solution would be that take out some of this foliage to eliminate the visibility problem. But because of the location of this speed hump, it would be more beneficial to just combine it with a crossing at the same time, so it's very visible. People are already coming to almost a stop, or at least slowing down to 10 or 15 miles per hour to go over the speed hump. So they're already doing that, and you do that in combination with the crossing. So this is something that I had, flipped back, I guess, to over to the supervisor's office just not too long ago, and hoping to have that talk with them about it, and Fairfax County about how that could possibly be worked out process-wise. And if there were any funding for it, I'm not sure. But.
So, Steve, this is Tom Bashadny. I'm happy to have our team sit down with you and discuss it. I think we also need probably Larry Butler or somebody from Reston Association to participate in that, since I think these are their trails. But I think we can, kind of work with you to set up a meeting and talk about what needs to happen to make some improvement like this.
Yeah, good.
And Steve, then the other one was on Thunder Chase Drive, and I can't remember the street address. It's 127 something or other would be about where that other trail crossing is. And there's a speed hump close to that trail crossing as well. And it's especially if you're heading westbound on Thunder Chase Drive from the left, you can't see the trail at all until it's right at the street. So any small child or something who decides to go fast on their bicycle to cross the street, they'd come out of nowhere, unseen until it was too late.
Okay. Well, rather than I'm not going to try to. I guess I can bring it up here, but.
Well, yeah.
If you would, after today's meeting, we can get in touch with each other through Supervisor Alcorn's office and look at that location as well. You must be talking about somewhere around here.
Yep. Yeah, right where the cursor is, you can see the vegetation, and there's just no way you can see anybody coming from that direction. And there's a gazebo and
right here, right?
Yeah, volleyball court there as well. On the top side, yeah, there you go. So that trail crossing has a lot of activity going on people coming and going to the gazebo or the volleyball courts or the tennis court, and obviously just kids out riding their bikes and things like that. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to hear from Supervisor Alcorn's office. That'd be great.
Okay. So this is Catherine. So will your Walter staff will be getting together, the Fairfax County DOT, VDOT, and Larry Butler, if you're still on, certainly because of the trails issue. And we will be interested in hearing back maybe in our April 28th meeting. Okay.
Right.
If there are no other questions about the presentation, we need to move on to MWA. Are there any other hands up? Because I can't see the hands up. Okay, we're going to move. Thanks so much, Steve. That was a very interesting presentation. Exciting that they'll have the temporary light and Pinecrest. And thank you for being so responsive to the polo fields issue.
Yes.
So,
thank you, Steve. Great work.
Thank you.
terrific.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
So I know the agenda says Marcia, but you can't see me. That's not Marcia. Hi, Serena.
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
Well, it's a new year, and I have high hopes.
Absolutely. A better 2021 for everyone.
Absolutely.
All right. Bear with me as I share my screen.
I'm passing the presenter privileges right now, Serena. You should be able to now.
Yes, thank you. And can everyone hear me and see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect. Mode. All right, that's better. All right, good morning, everyone. I am here on behalf of the Communications and Outreach team on behalf of the Dulles Corridor Metro Rail project. And Marcia couldn't be with us this morning due to a scheduling conflict, but I am here to provide a brief update regarding the Silver Line Phase 2. And here is a lovely picture we have of the completed Dulles screen glass wall at the Dulles Airport Station. All right, construction status. Construction is 99% complete, and the goal is to complete in late spring to be prepared to turn the project over to WMATA. COVID has not affected construction. We are working, of course, to comply with all state and federal regulations as well as MWA's protocols. All right. We do have some challenges, but we are working with our contractors, Capital Rail Constructors, for the rail infrastructure system portion, and with Hensel Phelps for the rail yard portion. A variety of issues remain to be resolved, but most of which have surfaced actually during system testing, which is not unusual for a project of this magnitude. Testing. All right, here we have a picture of the rail yard and maintenance yard. Testing, of course, is completed with each component as you go. However, final testing often reveals issues when components are all connected and put together. The critical tie-in. Final completions of the tie-in work have been slower than expected, but we are working daily with WMATA to resolve these issues, including scheduling additional outages to complete the work at the Wheelie Rest and Ease. And as we look ahead, we are confident that working together, we will finish in time for WMATA to test and open in summer of 2021. And we recognize, of course, the ongoing challenges brought by COVID. We've suspended tours since March due to COVID-19. We are certain that the project, of course, will add strong economic future of the Dulles Corridor region. And that concludes my brief update.
Are there any questions for us, Dana?
I'm not sure if it's a previous hand, but Adam Rubenstein. Oh, I
Sorry,
think it was a previous.
I lowered it. I apologize.
Okay. If there are no questions, it's interesting news. We're looking forward to eventually having all the way to Dulles, which has been a goal for many years. So thanks so much for your participation, and say Happy New Year to Marcia for us.
Will do, absolutely.
So just as a follow-up, since Linda asked a question about the sidewalk repair near the Herndon Metro Station, do you have any information on any of that, Serena? I don't know if that's something that you might have some information on.
I don't, but I can forward that question to Marcia.
That would be great. Thank you.
Follow up and actually forward the response to Shamali if that works.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. Sure.
Okay. I believe I see Greg on there. Greg, you're going to do the WMATA briefing?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. I'm just waiting for the share screen button, and I'll see if I can figure this out.
Okay.
Yeah, you should have it now.
All right, great. Now I see it.
I think we're getting pretty good at these virtual meetings.
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay, can everyone see it now?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay. This is Greg Potts from Metro Government Relations, and I'm going to give a short update on behalf of Metro. So just wanted to start off with some good news. You all may have heard that transit received some federal relief with the COVID relief package that was signed at the end of December. Metro's anticipated to receive about $610 million of that. We're going to get $718 million actually, and we're going to provide $108 million to the local transit operators around the region, the locals. And that leaves Metro itself with $610 million. So that was some very good news we received. We anticipate using a portion of that for the FY21 budget. So we're going to use a little under 100 million to balance the FY21 budget, which is of course the current budget. And then the board is planning to use the remainder of that, which is a little bit over 500 million, to help to balance the upcoming FY22 budget, which begins in July of this year. And really what that did with the federal funding, that helped Metro to avoid employee layoffs and very serious service cuts. So if you recall, we were planning to lay off a number of employees starting next month, and that is no longer happening, which is really good news. And we also avoided a lot of these service cuts that were on the table. So it allows us to avoid those very drastic things, at least through the end of the calendar year 2021. So that's the good news. And then unfortunately, there is some bad news coming up next year. So this is the bad news slide. And really what I'm conveying here is that the federal funds that we're anticipating is not going to be able to cover the entire fiscal 22 year. So unless we receive additional federal funding, some pretty drastic things are going to have to happen starting in January of next year, so 22. And what's on the table now, you all may have seen for FY22, the board approved going out to public hearing. And what's on the table is a number of potential service cuts. It's 171.4 million in service cuts that are going to be considered. That unfortunately includes a number of position eliminations, so about 2,500 positions, as well as some potential service cuts. So it's a reduction in rail, a reduction in bus. There is going to be some potential station closures, which nobody wants, of course, and potentially early closings. So just very quick, I mean, I think everyone knows this, but what's going on with Metro really is, of course, with the revenue. So starting last year in March, there was a drastic drop in ridership. And just to give you a sense, the original budget before COVID assumed over 800 million in revenue. And now post-COVID, we're assuming about 180 million. So that's a drop of about 80%. So I think you can understand pretty quickly that this is why we're having a very, very difficult time. Rail has been down consistently, a little bit over 90% in that neighborhood. Bus, less so. Bus has been down about 60%. But as everyone I think knows, rail is the workhorse on the revenue side. So it's roughly 80% of our revenue from rail, and in particular the peak rail. So if people aren't going to work, right now they're teleworking, that's really hurting Metro. So again, on the table is a number of service cuts, which we hope doesn't happen. So I'll just go on to the next slide. So this is the slide about how to get involved. I would encourage all of you, if you have comments on the budget, to participate. The official public comment period opens on February the 20th, and it lasts until March the 16th. And there's going to be an online portal, which we can share with your offices to make sure everybody has it, to provide electronic comments on the budget, what you think is appropriate, not appropriate, all that stuff. And there's going to be a series of hearings, online budget hearings. We're going to have, I've heard, at least 5 or so. There's likely going to be one that's focused on Virginia. There's going to be one that's probably hosted by a Virginia board member. So there's going to be a lot of ways to get involved, and I would encourage you to do so. And then just a little note here about some of the uncertainties. There's obviously a lot of uncertainty around the potential federal funding. There is no guarantee that we're going to receive any future federal funding. It's been encouraging that we've received some signals from the Biden administration on potential funding on the federal side. There was some reports of a proposal that would provide around 20 billion, I believe it is, to transit. And so obviously, Metro would welcome that, and we hope that some of that federal funding does come through so we can avoid some of these really drastic service cuts that we're looking at the beginning of next calendar year, so next January. And then, of course, ridership and revenue recovery. There's a lot of uncertainty there as well. Of course, as the vaccines roll out, that's obviously going to help. But, our board has to wrestle with how fast we believe ridership is going to come back. And Supervisor Alcorn can, I think, tell you that a lot of the board members have varying opinions on that. So they have to kind of wrestle with that. I think that they want to err on the side of caution, to be conservative on that for sure. But that's going to play out. So that's really the budget. I think the most important thing to convey is these dates of the public process there. So again, it starts on February the 20th, and you can get involved that way. So kind of changing gears a little bit, did want to briefly mention some things that we're doing on safety for COVID. I think I've mentioned some of these things in the past. Obviously, we do a lot of cleaning. We do daily cleaning. There's on-demand cleaning, which is something called an electrostatic fogger. So that's done, on demand. We've been working with APTA quite a bit. We have a safety seal with them for the transit industry. As you know, we require face coverings on rail and bus, hand sanitizers available in some of the stations. And also, I think I mentioned at the last meeting here, there was the announcement with Apple through Apple Wallet, and there's a smart chip app. So that allows you to use your phone as a smart chip card, and that eliminates the potential need for you to have to use spare machines. And that's obviously a safety issue that can help out. this was something that was, I think there was some interest in from the group. There was a Washington Post article about this last week. We got a grant from the FTA, an award for a pilot on improved air filtration on rail cars. So I don't have a lot of details on this, but essentially what we're working toward is trying to improve the air filtration. I'm not an expert on air filtration, but we're trying to get to what's called MERV 13 filters, which is a little bit higher than we have now, and also improving the air purification for rail cars as well. So that's something that we're going to work on. And it was good that we got this grant. And just so everyone knows, right now, Metro's rail cars recirculate air about every 3 minutes, and we're trying to improve that. And so hopefully this pilot can give us some funding to do so. And I think I just have one more slide, just a heads up. I think everyone knows a little bit about the platform project. Obviously, there was some work that was done on the Orange Line near to you all this past summer that was completed. There was 4 Orange Line stations that have wrapped up this past fall. The last platform that needs to be repaired in Virginia, thankfully, is there's just one left out of the 20 we have to do, and that's Arlington Cemetery. So if you look on the map there, that's going to begin on February the 13th, which is coming up. So essentially the spring, for roughly 3 months, we're going to close Arlington Cemetery, as well as another station in Maryland. And there's going to be a free shuttle that connects Rosslyn to the cemetery to Pentagon. And that's going to be free. It's going to run around every 12 minutes, and it's going to be accessible. And this shouldn't really impact a lot of the Silver Line riders with this group, but just wanted the group to be aware of it. And there's the website on the screen that you can go to for more information. And we're going to be doing a lot of outreach on this. We've been working with the stakeholders, and there's going to be a lot of in-person outreach at the station to let everyone know what's going on as we get closer to the shutdown. And like I said, the good news is that this is the last one in Virginia on the platform project, and the remaining ones, I believe, are all in Maryland. So Virginia's off the hook for now, at least on this project. And I think that was it. And I thank the group, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, or are there any hands up? I can't see the hands up.
I don't see any hands at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you at a future meeting with better news about COVID. So we're now going to open up for open comment from the group and any questions that you may. We have about 10 minutes for this part. So are there any hands up for the open comment period?
Yeah, we have a couple hands. I see Conrad, Adam, and Robin.
What was the first name? I'm sorry.
Conrad.
Conrad, yes, thank you. I'm from the Shaker Woods area, northwest section of the county, from the Homeowners Association, and I just wanted to also thank everyone for the presentations this morning. They were really, really interesting and enlightening, and particularly the Active Fairfax briefing, which I think we'll take advantage of in terms of looking for a sidewalk that we're interested in putting in over here in the Shaker Woods area. But much more pressing for us, and I've been talking to Shamali out earlier yesterday, and we actually have an individual coming from VDOT this afternoon, Nestor Martinez, to talk about a problem that we have along Wheelie Avenue, which extends from the Fairfax County Parkway to the Reston Parkway, basically. And that is the speed of the traffic and problems that we have with our pedestrians from our neighborhood utilizing the crosswalk areas. The crosswalks there are marked. They have signs, but we are still experiencing, particularly with COVID, I think, a problem with the speed of the traffic, the line of sight, and the fact that the vehicular traffic doesn't seem to pay attention to the crosswalking signs and particularly the pedestrians in the crosswalk. So we've had an accident with pedestrian in a vehicle. We had another individual, unfortunately, was killed a few years ago over at Reston Parkway. So this is a problem that we're dealing with. We've been dealing with for a number of years, and it has just increased lately, I think, with the commuter traffic that's going towards the Silver Line. And we're trying to find ways that we can possibly, educate the traffic to the fact that pedestrians are trying to cross over at one of 6 different locations there, particularly one that I'll point. It was a Pellow Circle Trail and Wheelie Avenue. And so, as I said, I think we're going to be meeting with some people, but I just wanted to alert you to this problem and the fact that the signage, the crosswalk markings are not sufficient. We have vehicles going right through, they're not stopping. The new law takes into effect, but I just, I don't see that's going to be doing anything. And I think we really need to be looking at increased measures, whether it's pedestrian activated traffic lights, or whether it's a rapid flash systems, or whether it has speed monitoring devices. We need something, and it involves the entire stretch. It's not just at one intersection. That's the problem. It's involving any of those crosswalks across there. So I just wanted to raise that up as an issue that we're very concerned about. We're just waiting for the next accident to happen. It just happened last week, but we're waiting for the next one, which unfortunately somewhere somebody's going to get hurt, seriously. And we really think we need something done for this area. So I want to raise that as an issue.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. We had added to, before some of you joined us this morning, I had asked that we add to the agenda of the next meeting the new pedestrian law and how we can do more outreach to educate both pedestrians and drivers that what their expectations are. But we need to go beyond that. But I do want, I think there needs to be further discussion. This has been the entire time I've chaired this committee. I've been very concerned about the ignorance of drivers and pedestrians about what the, shall we call it, the protocol is for crosswalk behavior. And of course, there's also an issue of jaywalking by not using, we put in these beautiful crosswalks and people don't use them. So I think it's, and we do have more pedestrian traffic during COVID times at unusual times, at different times than we had before. So I think it's really key that we as a community undertake this discussion heavily in 2021. Did anyone else want to speak to his comments?
Catherine, it's Walter Alcorn. Yeah, Conrad, thank you. I had gotten information from Shamley on this, and we'll definitely be working with you on a meeting to explore options and get the ball rolling. And I do want to give a shout out to Steve from VDOT, because it was only a few months ago that there was a proposal to actually raise the speed limit of Wheelie along through there. And he checked with me and like, no, we don't want to raise the speed limit. So, but we look forward to working with you on that meeting.
Catherine, you're muted.
Second. All right, thank you. I'm trying to make sure there's no background noise from my side. Thank you, Walter. I really think that we probably need to be looking at a task force for Hunter Mill having to do with pedestrian, because it's gone beyond the critical stage, in my opinion. And there are a lot of people. Reston is a very active community, and in Hunter Mill, Vienna, of course, has their own pedestrian issues, especially with the WOD crossing a very main arterial. So I'm hoping that we can have more activity on that at this time. Did anybody else want to jump in on this one? Otherwise, we'll go to the other hand up.
Catherine, this is Steve Welch. If I can share screen for a moment.
Thank you.
Passing over presenter privileges to you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
You should be able to now.
Okay. I going to get there. So everybody see my screen? This is Whitley Avenue.
Yes.
Yes.
So I just, while the gentleman was talking, I was just looking at this section. I know Jose from our traffic engineering group is I didn't know he was coming out there to meet you. But I do appreciate it, but I can see some problems. There's vegetation at this location, at this crosswalk, which is hiding the pedestrian sign that exists. So we may need a combination of that and maintenance. The other thing is typically on now what we're doing on these kinds of crosswalks is we're putting in another pedestrian sign in the median and also adding an arrow down sign for the pedestrian to highlight on both sides of the oncoming direction that there's a pedestrian crosswalk. In addition to that, we normally put in, and you can kind of, I don't know if that's one of, yeah, there's a lead-in sign right here. On the opposite side, that's a lead-in sign, but I'm not sure if there's a lead-in. Yeah, there's a lead-in sign on that side. So we usually have the lead-in sign, but it looks like some combination of some additional signage at the crosswalk and some vegetation cleanup at minimally can be done. So we'll look into that as far as, and Jose will look into that further. But I just wanted to point that out. So thank you.
Okay, well, I think we had another hand up.
Yeah, we had a few hands. So we have Robin Shull.
Hi, so I have two items that I would like to bring up. Most importantly, the Green Range Drive crossing next to the Dogwood Pool. I was wondering what the status was on that. The signs were put up, but the lines painted on the road. Stephen, I think that question would be for you.
So Steve, let me jump in. This is Chris. So again, we have lots of roads being paved, but if you're saying that the signs went up and did the road get paved yet, or is it still not paved?
It's not paved.
Okay, so the way we work together with VDOT on this. So in the summer repaving program, VDOT is going to repave the road, and we work with them to look for opportunities for additional crosswalks and bike lanes and stuff like that. As part of that cooperative working relationship, we actually do the signs for some of the crosswalks and bike lanes. And it's a timing issue. It's almost impossible to get, the signs to go in the exact day that the road's being paved and striped. So as I said earlier, I'm not familiar with Green Range and the crosswalk there. My staff works on that. But if you've seen the new signs, then what that says to me is that is a location that we are adding a crosswalk, and it's just a matter of the paving to come in, and then after the paving, the striping comes in. So without knowing it myself personally, I would just say that from a programmatic point of view, if you've seen the new signs, then that's what's happening. The crosswalk is coming.
Great, thank you. I do have another question that I think touches on the issues that Conrad Huppy brought up earlier. So there is a maintenance problem, especially with the walkways going up Reston Parkway. The erosion and the leaves have kind of restricted that walkway to be very narrow, and it's already only like a 4-foot sidewalk. And so my family, we are trying to, use the pedestrian facilities to make it to the new Metro Center, the new Metro station. But, it is proving to be a challenge with the current state. So I was wondering if you guys could please speak to that. I know it's a complicated issue.
Yeah, complicated is an understatement for maintenance. So I assume you're talking about the sidewalk on the west side of Reston Parkway from Fox Mill up to, I guess, Sunrise Valley. And that is it's a narrow sidewalk, and in a future world, we would love to upgrade that to be a shared use path. Maintenance varies block by block, street by street, side of street by side of street. So it could be either VDOT's maintenance or Fairfax County's maintenance. I can take we have a map that we reference to see who's responsible for that. So I will look up, assuming that I got the correct location, I'll look up who's responsible for that maintenance and forward a request to at least have the vegetation overgrowth trimmed back.
Pursuant to, this is Catherine, pursuant to that subject, is there a dashboard for the public to, we had a very wet year last year, and there are a lot of street signs that are covered by vegetation. What would you recommend the best way is? I thought there was a county or a state dashboard having to do with vegetation obstructing signage. Does that exist, Steve or Chris?
Yeah, you could do 1-800-4-ROADS, or the VDOT website has a website where you can put in information to make a complaint about that, and that gets tracked by a central tracking system and distributed to whatever department that needs to go to. Typically, in that case, it'd be our maintenance department. It's alerted to it, and they'll go out, investigate it, and arrange the trimming to be done, depending upon who owns the land and the right of way and what have you along that area. So
in a situation of maintenance, for example, in Reston, where it might impact, where it actually needs to be performed by another party like Reston Association, does the state staff automatically pass that ticket or complaint over, or how's that handled?
we coordinate it. Sometimes if we immediately know that it's Reston Association, then we, try to let them know of the problem. Sometimes it's privately owned. There's large, sometimes the right of way is kind of odd, and some of the trees might be actually on right of way, and those are easy to take care of. But ones that are on the borderline or privately owned that are hanging over, we'll try to notify the property owner to do some trimming back. If there are power lines involved, that's a whole nother situation, because we have to contact the utility company, and they have to schedule clearing out. They clear out and trim back everything to 10 feet away from the power lines for safety reasons, and then we go back in underneath and trim back from that point outward. But we'll coordinate, just let us know what locations, and we can take care of those that are ours and help coordinate those that aren't.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Robin. I think we had it's a couple minutes till 10, so I want to move pretty quickly through these next couple of questions.
Yeah, and Catherine, this is Tom Bashadny. Both Chris and I do have a 10 o'clock meeting, so we will have to leave right at 10 today.
Okay, there was a hand up.
Yeah, we had Adam Rubenstein.
Hi, I was just wondering about a section of Old Courthouse Road that continuously floods when there's heavy rain. Wasn't sure if anything was in the pipeline to possibly try to fix that, because the road constantly gets closed whenever there's heavy rain.
Yes, we do have a project there. It's still a couple years away. Sorry, I closed my status report already, but the date would be in the status report that you can look on our website. We're completely raising the road, a new bridge, realigning it, adding pedestrian facility to the trailhead and the sides within the project limits, and it will get it out of the flood.
Okay, was there one more hand? Thank you, Adam. Was there one more hand up?
Yeah, Kelly Westenhoff.
Hi, Kelly.
Real quickly, the one thing I'm hearing over and over again is we have a speed problem. And I'd like to ask Shamley and Walter if for future meetings, I know we've had police in our meetings before, but for them to just give a short status update on what kind of enforcement they've done in Hunter Mill in the past X amount of time, so that we know they actually are doing something about it. Because the best infrastructure in the world cannot slow down a car that's going 15 miles above the speed limit. So just if we could invite them, I think that would be really great.
Absolutely. Good idea. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, Kelly. We have, you're right, that we've had police as part of this group in the past, and we would like to have them. We would like to have a representative in future meetings. So we're right at 10 o'clock. I have a couple of items just as we're closing. Our next meetings are scheduled for April 28th, July 28th, and October 27th. So I believe that that will be posted on the website. And in the future, I'd appreciate it if it could be printed on the bottom when our next meeting is. I know we're right at 10 o'clock and we have to lose some people, but are there any meetings that we, between now and April 28th, Tom, or anything, any kind of a public meeting that you need our support in that I should announce? Tom's gone. How about you, Chris? Or Steve? No, Chris is still there.
No, I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Steve, are
This
there
is
any?
Steve. Yeah, this is Steve. So we are tentatively scheduled for Monday, March 15th to have a public information meeting on the larger Fox Mill Road, Pinecrest Road intersection project, on the status of that. So it'll be the first time since we've actually got going on the full project that includes the turn lanes, et cetera. So again, that's scheduled tentatively for Monday, March 15th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And I believe that's been coordinated with your office. And the backup date for that, in case there strangely is inclement weather, I hope not, is Thursday, March 18th. And I know we're not all out and about driving when I say inclement weather, but our staffs get pulled away to go work on snow assignments. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're right at 10 o'clock. Hey, we met our goal. So thank you for today. Thank you to the presenters. Excellent job as usual. I look forward to working with you on April 28th, and I look forward to hearing from Walter's staff any kind of link to the presenters' information that they presented today. So I hope everybody will stay safe and register for their vaccine when their time comes. And we'll see you virtually on April 28th. Any other comments?
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Bye.
Thank you.